Hello aspirants, welcome to the class guys. Today we are going to discuss about orientation analysis for paper 2. In this particular session we will try to discuss about what are the syllabus related to the paper 2 anthropology optional. After that we will try to start the class with the introduction of meaning, scope and development of anthropology as an optional. In paper 2, the first chapter includes evolution of India, culture, civilization. So, with respect to various types of lithic ages, there are various stages. We have archaeological evidences and found different types of material remains in India, which led to the development of prehistory, particularly lithic ages in India. It will start with Paleolithic and Mesolithic, after that Neolithic and then Chalcolithic. Metal ages include copper, copper bronze and bronze age. So, these are some of the different types of lithic ages which were being mentioned in the syllabus. As part of it, we will try to discuss about Indus Valley civilization, Vedic civilization, impact of tribal cultures on Indian society, discussed as part of this demographic profile. And then later we will try to understand how the population growth in recent past and what will be the future projections if there is any imbalances with respect to this population growth in India. So, what will be the impact on the Indian society will be discussed as part of this chapter 2, paper 2 anthropology optional. And next is about the 3.1 structure and nature of Indian traditional social system. So, you know, Indian traditional social system means we will go back to the Vedic period, in which we found the Chaturvarna system, fourfold Varna system, which was the traditional part of Indian society. So, we will try to understand the structure and characteristics of Varna system and difference between caste and Varna. After that, how caste system has been originated in different forms, the theories related to it. After that, dominant caste. So, in any of the particular villages in Indian society, you have one of the feature called as caste system. In that, basic feature is division of people based on their occupation. So, which led to the formation of caste system. So, if the people are being divided, there will be dominant and there will be the weaker sections. So, here what should be the basic features for the dominant caste? So, the earlier there are thinkers like M.N. Srinivas has given the features for the dominant caste. So, we will try to understand that particular concept as a theoretical way and try to connect to the contemporary world, whether the dominant caste will be followed in the current context, whether the features are being changing over a period or not, will be identifying as per the theoretical concept. And we will discuss about various types of other concepts like caste mobility. So, caste mobility in the sense, so we have different types of castes in India. So, we can put them in order. So, this is caste 1, 2, 3 and 4 consider. So, if the caste 4 is moving upward, so like C4, C2, C3 and C1. So, this movement of people in the order because of various reasons, because lower caste may be getting higher caste if they acquire the land, if they acquire the knowledge like education, better health facilities, they can improve their status in the society. So, automatically they can attain the topmost position, so which is considered to be the change in position of the caste in the hierarchical positions. So, if the C4 is going to the top and C1 is coming to the lower positions, this movement of castes we call it as a mobility. So, there is a mobility means moving in any of the directions. You can go upward, we call it as a upward mobility. If at all the caste is coming down, so then it is considered to be called as so downward mobility. So this itself indicates that castes can move upward, castes can move downward. So if it is a upward mobility, so there is another concept called as Sanskritization, again explained by M.N. Srinivas. If it was a downward mobility, C1 is coming to lower positions because of various reasons. So then we call it as a desanskritization. So proposed by D.N. Majumdar. So like this, what are the different types of factors led to the upward mobility of caste system, downward mobility of the caste system can be understood in a caste mobility. Next one is future of caste system. So in any of the society, consider this is one of the basic structure which is being followed in a current context. In future, whether this structure will be the same or it is undergoing any changes. What are the factors which led to the change in the composition of caste system, and what is the new type of forms taken by the caste system will be discussed as part of future of caste system in India. Next one is like a Jajmani system. So in Jajmani system, there are two people are being considered. So one is a Jajman and another one is a Kamin. Okay, so Kamin. So Jajman is usually called as a dominant caste, and Kamin is considered to be other caste who are working in dominant caste. So that means like I am writing J as a dominant caste, other castes are Kamins. So for example, in any of the dominant caste people, if at all any ceremony arises, all the people from different castes come there, perform their functions, and accordingly they will take a certain compensation for their work. So for example, a Brahmin is coming to perform certain puja in the Jajman, that is a dominant caste people, then automatically he do perform ritual, he do perform ceremony, and accordingly he will take certain compensation as a food grains. So that a relationship between dominant caste, economic relation between the different types of castes in the caste system can be analyzed with a concept called as a Jajmani system. There are many people who has worked on the Jajmani system. William H. Weiser is one of the person, and Harold Gould and other people explained this Jajmani system in different villages, how the caste system are being operated based on economic conditions. So this is one of the concept mentioned in 3.1. Next one, tribe caste continuum. Okay, so tribe caste continuum means so all the time there is a tribe and then the caste. Okay, so this particular concept of tribe caste continuum means every time there are certain tribal groups are there, caste groups are there, they try to interact with each other because of sharing of resources or because of the movement of people or any other reasons, they continue to exchange their particular the features. So that particular communication between tribe and the caste so happening since ancient period. So to analyze the relation between the tribe and caste, so there is a new concept was been proposed by various thinkers which is considered to be called as a tribe caste continuum. So we will discuss in detail about tribe caste continuum in the classes. Currently you try to understand that this is one of the concept mentioned in the 3.1 chapter paper 2. Okay, so these are some of the topics mentioned in the paper 2. Next one, 3.3 consisting of the sacred complex and nature man spirit complex. So what is considered to be called as a sacred complex, what is considered to be called as nature man spirit complex. So these two concepts are being proposed by, so remember one of the thinker name called as LP Vidyarthi. Okay, so in anthropology all the time you need to remember the thinker name and their work and different types of theories, concepts proposed by them. So here you need to remember LP Vidyarthi. So this LP Vidyarthi has given a concept called as a sacred complex. So sacred means anything which is related to the religion, which will try to give you a sense of understanding about the religion. We call it as a sacred as per the theoretical concept in anthropology, which is explained by various thinkers. Prominent thinker is D.N. Majumdar, so Emily Durkheim. Okay, so here LP Vidyarthi has taken that sacred complex to understand the the different places in India, because there are different holy places in India in which majority of the thinkers consider that is may be considered to be called as origin of the traditions, origin of the culture which is spreading from one place to another place. So that is considered to be, so one of the basic point you need to remember. So with respect to the this sacred complex, so this sacred complex gives you the understanding of how the holy places are being why the holy places are considered to be called as the centers for the development of culture and civilization, and how they are being spreading from one place to another place will be explained with a concept called as a sacred complex. So explained by LP Vidyarthi. And another concept is nature man spirit complex. So this nature man spirit complex is like nature means you can consider as forest, man means humans, and spirit means belief in any type of religious concepts. Okay, so how the people are being related with forests, and how they are deriving their religious principles from that living style is considered to be analyzed by a concept called as nature man spirit complex. So here traditionally humans are dependent on forest for their livelihood. So according to E.B. Taylor, yesterday when I am explaining about the religion, so he said that the earliest form of religion is belief in the souls, which is considered to be called as animism. So that animism concept was taken again by the LP Vidyarthi, applied to the tribals, and he understood that so every living being has certain souls. So and there will be good thing might happen. So with respect to belief in the souls by the people, and at the same time so over a period of time, so what has happened is because of belief in the souls, there will be a spirits they have created. That spirits is like believe in some of the positive things, negative energy, positive energy. So there will be different forms in which the tribals practice and propagate their religion. So that whatever the religious beliefs were being considered or followed by the tribals is mentioned it as a spirit over here. So that means like the continuous interaction of this forest and then the religion humans is considered to be called as nature man spirit complex, explained by LP Vidyarthi. So why this type of concepts are being created? Because he want to analyze the tribal life, first point. And if at all the government want to bring any changes in the tribal life, these type of concepts are helpful to understand the tribal life, introduce new type of schemes, improve their standard of living. So that is the where this concept is been helpful. Next one is about the impact of Buddhism, Jainism, Islam, Christianity on Indian society. So you know India is one of the place where you can see many type of religions are been formed, okay, or evolved over a period of time. 6th century is the starting point where we can see the different types of religions have been evolved. So example is Buddhism, Jainism, and other particular religions. So here after that Christianity, Islam came into India. So Christianity came to India, and a composite culture has been formed. People are following a different type of features. They are adopting certain features from other religions, and eventually Indian society is undergoing certain changes. So different types of features are being changed by the people. For example, if you consider dowry system, so it is being followed in India earlier. So when Islam came to India, they also adopted it. So similarly, other particular concepts like construction with respect to the culture, construction of various temples undergone certain changes. So with the advent of Islam. Similarly, the Jainism, Buddhism has advocated the peace in their principles. So automatically, so lower section of the people who are not getting the corresponding moksha. So because in olden days, traditional historical past, if you see, everyone ultimate goal of the people in Indian society is attaining moksha. So lower section of the people are not able to get the smooth transition for the moksha. So that's why downtrodden section has converted to Buddhism and Jainism in the historical past. So that is the reason why the Indian society is undergoing certain changes. So whenever people come across certain problems, automatically the problems should be overcome by any type of means. So here they are been taking religion as a means, converting them to other particular religion is happening because of various reasons. So for example, in Christianity, so there are Christian missionaries helping the people in different forms. So because of that social work, certain section of the people got influenced and accordingly they converted to Christianity. So this is how they are adopting, and eventually Indian society, Indian country on the whole as a country, the people living in the country are undergoing certain changes. So with respect to the living standards, with respect to their composition, so that is considered to be called as how the different forms of religion are been impacting Indian society, will be discussed as part of 3.4 chapter. Next one, if you see, fourth chapter in paper 2 includes the emergence, growth and development in India. So here every particular discipline has taken certain time to form or to take a form or a period of time. Okay, so here what you need to remember here is, in India also anthropology is not a discipline in the starting days, before 1900. So slowly over a period of time the anthropology has been evolved as a discipline, and it was been taught in different types of universities, and at the same time so different types of scholars are being graduated, post graduation colleges are being established, and the different research has been started in anthropology. So in India, how anthropology has entered, okay, and then different types of contribution given by the people as well as British administrators, and then the scholars, how the anthropology has been formed over a period of time will be discussed in chapter 4. So who are considered to be the first person to be the first contributors to the development of anthropology in India means, so according to the literature, so it is the British administrators. So there are many British administrators so who want to study a different section of people in India, because they want to control or they want to gain the political relations, or they want to get the political power in India. Eventually they are bound to study different section of people in the Indian society. So that is considered to be called as a starting point of the anthropological development in India. And Asiatic Society of Bengal, so it is the organization which has collected many type of historical artifacts, manuscripts which is related to historic issues. So developmental programs can be taking the help of anthropology as a concept, as a discipline, and the government is trying to provide better facilities to the people. So that is where the anthropology has been very much helpful in the contemporary world. So here you can see there are many people who have developed anthropology as a discipline. So we will try to discuss some of the contributions of each and every thinker in this particular chapter. Main prominent thinkers' contribution will be discussed as part of the emergence, growth and development of anthropology in India. Next one, fifth chapter is related to Indian villages. Okay, so Indian village. So that means like here you can see the Indian village. So Indian village in the sense the name itself indicates that there are two entities are there. So in the total country. So one is villages and urban areas. So why exclusively they have mentioned about Indian village? Because there we can find the traditional mindset or traditional features of Indian society. So that's why exclusive study on Indian villages have been started from 1950s onwards. So as I said, in the evolution of anthropology, study of villages has been given prominent post or prominency in 1950s. So when American anthropologists came to India, they tried to understand the Indian culture, Indian society. So then they started the working on Indian villages. So then in that one of the major feature, common feature they found is the caste system. So that is how the village studies were being started in India, and it got prominence, and government is also able to understand the Indian villages and their particular structure in a much broader way. So that helped the government to implement various schemes. So in the first 5-year plan, community development program has been framed by the government for the providing basic necessary facilities to the people. So that is how these particular studies are been helpful. So that's why the anthropologists are focusing on Indian villages. So here Indian villages as a social system. Indian villages as a social system means, social means you can consider as people, system means how they are being related and how they are being interlinked in that particular village, what type of institutions are being created, what is the role played by the people in that particular institutions is considered to be called as a social system. So how we can analyze the Indian villages means, we need to understand the social system which was been created in Indian villages. Social system means who are the what it consisting of means it consisting of people and the institution created by them, how they are been the related. Institutions means you can consider marriage, family or kinship, all these are considered to be called as institutions. Those institutions are being interrelated every time in the social system. If you study those institutions, automatically you can understand the Indian villages. So that is what they are giving as a syllabus, and what the focus area of every aspirant or the faculty is like. So we will say the concept, at the same time you need to understand how it is undergoing changes, what will be the future, if at all any factors are influencing the different types of features in Indian society. So that is the focus area every particular aspirant has to remember, and accordingly they need to implement while they are been studying or while they are been revising. So even UPSC is also asking the questions, not like explain the Indian villages as a social system. So they will give the any application part, they will give you the information regarding how the social system is undergoing changes, what are the factors which influence the Indian social system. So that those are the type of questions. So they want you to analyze the things, so with respect to the contemporary problems. So that is what UPSC is expecting. So here we will try to understand the basic information regarding the each and every concept. So and accordingly we will try to enhance your knowledge. So that is what will be taught in the classes. Next one is traditional and changing pattern of settlements and intercaste relations. Changing pattern of settlements. So settlement in the sense people are residing in villages in a certain way of approach. So for example, if you consider, so there are two areas. So core area in village and peripheral area. So outside the village. So core area most of the time resided by dominant caste. A peripheral area is resided by the lower caste. Okay, so that means people are being divided based on their settlement. What are the different types of settlement patterns followed in the Indian? That means you are leaving the caste based occupations and going to MGNREGA is considered to be so one of the basic feature which is being followed in the current context. Then automatically the caste relations will decline. Then if the caste relations decline, the social system traditionally which was been followed by the people will also undergo certain changes. So that is why intercaste relations in India, how they are been forming and how they are been undergoing various factors will be discussed as part of this. Next one is agrarian relations in Indian village. So you can see here, so majority of the occupation for the people in India is agriculture sector. So agriculture sector has given a social system or social relations among different section of the people in Indian villages. So that's why we will try to analyze from historical past, like from British to till now, how the agriculture relations in Indian villages are undergoing certain changes. So we will concentrate mostly on the Green Revolution. So once the Green Revolution is come into the picture, so many caste relations has undergoing changes, and the big transformation in the Indian society has took place. So as part of it, we will discuss impact of Green Revolution on Indian society as well. Next, globalization impact on Indian villages or Indian society. So, in current earlier, so every resources are being manufactured or services are being produced in the villages itself because of caste system. So, you know, caste system has been formed based on the occupation. So, every person has to do their function, occupation, and provide necessary services to other section of the people. That is the basic feature. So, now that is undergoing certain changes because whatever the goods and services produced by the people are being produced by the machines, and as well as services are also being delivered to the people, then automatically the caste relevance will decrease. So, then how the globalization in current context are impacting the Indian villages will be discussed as part of Indian village chapter. Next one is about 5.2 in paper 2, gives you information about linguistic and religious minorities and their social, political, economic status. So, that means every particular society has a majority section of people, minority section of people. So, then here if you are considered to be called as minority, there are two types of minorities we can consider. So, even according to the constitution or traditionally two major types of minorities are being considered. So, one is considered to be called as religious minorities, okay, and second one is considered to be called as linguistic minorities. So, religious minorities and linguistic minorities. So, religious minorities means government has passed one of the particular act, okay. So, National Commission for Minorities Act 1992, okay. So, in this particular act they have recognized 6 religions as the minorities. So, it is like any other languages, okay, all the section of the people who are speaking other languages are considered to be called as linguistic minorities, okay. So, these are two types of minorities, linguistic minorities and religious minorities. So, religious minorities are like 6 religions recognized under National Commission for Minorities Act, and at the same time linguistic minorities are any particular language spoken by the people other than official languages in a particular state. So, then those people are linguistic minorities. So, here both these minorities has certain problems. So, those problems has to be addressed by the government. So, what are the problems faced by them is divided into social problems and political problems or economic problems. So, here they have given us economic status. So, that means how the economic conditions are there. If you take Islam, so or Muslims, automatically, so if you see the traditional way of occupation is they are still adopting the inherited occupations from their parents. So, that means like self-employment is considered to be the major occupation. So, they are not undergoing certain changes. So, if you see after LPG reforms, government has implemented various types of reforms in different sectors, even education sector undergone certain reforms. But in Muslims, even today certain section of the people still prefer the madrasas in which the religious scriptures are being read and acquire the knowledge for their livelihood. So, that is one of the major problem faced by the Muslims, because scientific knowledge was been not imparted to the children, eventually they end up in lower occupations. So, then automatically the family size of Muslims is very large, then they are suffering with poverty or lower incomes. So, this is a condition faced by the Muslims we consider to be called as economic status of Muslims. Similarly, economic status of Sikhs in particular different areas will be dealt, and then Christianity, every particular minorities has their own issues. For example, if you take Parsis and Jains, the major problem of them is like a declining population. So, they have high literacy rate. So, majority of the businessmen are from either Jains or Parsis, particularly in India. So, in that context, if you consider declining population is their problem. So, here with respect to minorities, what are the problems faced by them? So, with respect to social, political, economic conditions, and we will take certain examples from different areas and collect certain data. So, from the reports, so example is like Sachar committee. So, exclusively we can understand the position of Muslims in India, and accordingly their recommendations will be taken, will be dealt in the class, and accordingly you can use them in writing answers. so which will fetch you marks. So that means like in anthropology, the reports released by various committees and their recommendations are very much helpful, and those recommendations should be written in the answers to get maximum score in anthropology. Okay, so this is another topic. Next one is about the indigenous exogenous process of socio-cultural changes in Indian society. So that means here you can understand there are many types of processes to understand the Indian society. So some of them are exclusively developed in India, we call it as a indigenous process, and some of them are exogenous process. Because of external factors, Indian society is undergoing certain changes, so we call it as a exogenous. So here indigenous means Sanskritization. So Sanskritization means lower caste imitating the dominant caste, so we call it as a Sanskritization. And at the same time Westernization. So Westernization in the sense you can consider impact of British rule. So you know British rule has influenced the Indian society. So that means a certain section of the people has followed certain features of the British, like English language. So scientific knowledge or scientific education system is been adopted from the British. So we have adopted the railways from the British. So there are many positives are also there with respect to the British, CRPC sections, IPC sections. So whatever the laws, some of the laws, not all the laws of the British are helpful to the people of India, the which are been benefiting to the people of India, they have adopted it. So whatever the people have adopted, undergone certain changes in the traditional social system, so we call it as the Westernization. Okay, so that means in a nutshell, impact of British rule of 200 years on Indian society is considered to be called as Westernization. So this was mentioned in 5.3. Okay, and whether the Westernization concept is relevant today or not, so we will discuss in the classes. Next, modernization. So it is not about only British rule, impact of British on Indian society. So nowadays every country has certain undergoing certain changes, so reforms which is impacting Indian society. So for example, in 1920s you can see 1918 and 19, Russian Revolution occurred, French Revolution occurred, American Revolution occurred. So all those revolutions has a profound impact on different section of people, particularly intellectuals. So in India also many section of the people, leaders are influenced by those revolutions, and accordingly the Indian society undergone certain changes. So that is we call it as a modernization. Okay, so the change which we see in the society because of influence of various countries, we can consider as modernization. So in that the trade is one of the means, in transportation is one of the means, technology is one of the means. Undergoing certain changes in the Indian society will be analyzed as part of modernization. Next one, interplay of little and great traditions. So interplay the little and great traditions. So what is little tradition, what is great tradition? So here little traditions in the sense, so you can consider some of the particular religious features followed by the micro section of the people, we call it as a little tradition. Okay, great tradition in the sense, so the one of the festivals you can consider, any of the festivals in Hindu social system, so which was followed by larger section of the people is considered to be called as great tradition. So example for little tradition is Batukama festival in Telangana is considered to be little tradition, so followed by the specific section of people. So Diwali, Dasara is considered to be called as a great tradition followed by larger section of people in the society. So here there is a possibility for interaction between little tradition and great tradition. Okay, so little tradition and great tradition, so like that of tribe and caste. So earlier also we have understood tribe and caste are exchanging features each other. Similarly, little tradition and great tradition is also one of the way they try to interact with each other, because every great tradition has started in one place as a little tradition. Later it has been expanded to the different areas. So diffusion of culture we say, and accordingly the large unique culture has been created because of various factors, that we call it as a great tradition. So little tradition and great tradition are been undergoing exchange certain features, will be dealt as part of a little tradition and great tradition. Next, Panchayat Raj and social change. So, you know, in villages, if you consider Indian villages, so one of the basic feature is caste system. So, this caste system is considered to be called as one of the basic feature of Indian villages. Everyone know it. Okay. So, here already with respect to the political relations, like framing certain rules and regulations in Indian villages are mostly done by the dominant caste, right. So, this dominant caste will frame the rules and regulations. Sometimes dominant caste means it need not be only one caste, it can be of 2 or more caste. In that case, caste councils are being formed, caste councils. In Punjab and Haryana, that caste councils are called as Khap Panchayats. So, that is the basic point you need to remember. So, this is a traditional setup. Already certain section of people are framing certain rules and regulations, and Jajmani system will explain you how the other castes are being related with the dominant caste. So, that is the basic feature of Indian society. But after 1947, 1950s, you can consider, okay, Panchayat Raj system has been introduced by the government, okay, Panchayat Raj system. So, Panchayat Raj system is a formal government institution created by the government, and accordingly government is asking these dominant caste people to join this Panchayat Raj system. So, here there is a small differences occurred in the initial stages. So, that is why in India, so the Panchayat Raj system was not part of original constitution. So, you can see 73rd and 74th constitutional amendment added Panchayat Raj system and municipalities to the Indian constitution only in 1992. So, here they are not part of it, because the leaders thought that most of the features are being followed traditionally in India, so with respect to the Panchayat Raj system. So, that is why they did not enforce, because Panchayat Raj system is part of state subject. If you address that particular subject or change certain particular subject, people may agitate, go against to the government, because dominant caste functions are being disturbed. That is the reason government did not touch that particular area. They did not incorporate even in the original constitution. It may be one of the reason. There are many other reasons. This is also one of the reason. Okay. So, here the Panchayat Raj system has been introduced by the government. So, Panchayat Raj system already along with the Panchayat Raj system, reservation concept has been introduced. So, that means lower castes are acquiring the power. So, if the lower castes are acquiring the power, automatically dominant caste influence on the people will decrease. So, then automatically lower caste position in the society will increase. So, that we call it as a social change. So, that means because of Panchayat Raj system, so social changes are occurring, the caste relations are been changing. So, that is considered to be part of the picture in Indian villages to other section of the people in the world. So, automatically because of media, the social changes are occurring. So, for example, you can consider how this media is been helpful in current context means internet is been penetrating to rural areas. So, then digital education can be promoted, quality education can be promoted, quality health services can be promoted. So, then automatically, so the dependency of people on dominant caste will decrease, because people are getting better employment, better wages, and eventually they are improving their standards in the society, then caste relations will change. So, if the caste relations are undergoing changes, then social change will occur. So, the basic particular reason for the social change in some areas, media. So, that is the reason. So, we have three pillars of democracy we can call as legislative, executive and judiciary. The fourth pillar by some of the thinkers is considered to be called as media. So, currently vibrant social media is also necessary to uphold the reality in the society and explain the reality to the leaders, and accordingly they can change and bring certain changes, reforms in the society. So, that we call it as a social change. Okay. Next one is like the other part of paper 2. So, till 5th chapter we have the archaeology part, Indian society part and a tribal area. So, that means in paper 2 particularly we can divide the particular syllabus into Indian archaeology, okay, Indian society and tribal India. So, these are the three particular areas. So, paper 2 is focusing on. So, we have discussed about Indian archaeology and the Indian society. So, now we will try to understand, so what are the concepts mentioned in the tribal India. So, these particular concepts are very much helpful to understand the tribal life, tribal problems, tribal way of living. So this is mentioned in the second part. The tribal India in paper 2 is from 6th chapter to 9th chapter is the tribal India. So in 6th chapter what they are giving is the tribal situation in India. So tribal situation in India means we will start with the definition of tribe. So where this word has been emerged and the historical past and as well as in the current context. And we will try to understand the social conditions of the people and economic classification of the tribals, geographical distribution of tribes, and we will try to understand the linguistic classification of tribal languages. So in India we have seen many section of people have different languages. So the more diversity is been mostly found in tribal people, particularly in the northeastern region. So we will try to understand the what is classification of the different types of religions, economic system followed by the tribals, and different types of language spoken by the tribals will be discussed as part of tribal situation in India. After that we will try to understand tribal problems is part of it. Next one. So in tribal problems we can see poverty, unemployment, indebtedness, okay, land alienation, and etc. So many problems are there. So those problems we will try to understand what is the causes and impact and what should be the remedial measures. We have fixed structure. So anthropology is one such subject. So you can have the fixed structure. So if you remember that fixed structure, you can gain more marks and easily you can retain. See, there are some particular optionals, so in which subject is very dynamic. Questions are also asked in dynamic way. But anthropology questions are mostly of static in nature. So that is the advantage. So you need to get benefit out of it. So here even in case of tribals also, so the question framing is little bit easy. And if you try to adjust to the conditions, easily you can get the good score in the anthropology. So there are two sections are there. Every particular aspirant has to write some fixed questions from different areas. So for example, even in anthropology, so you have paper 2, if you consider, there are 8 questions are given, okay. So in that 8 questions you need to write 5 questions, okay. So here 5 questions means, so I am writing here, so first question, second, third, fourth, and then so this is section A, and then section B is there. So you can see, so 5, 6, 7, 8. So in this first question, fifth question compulsorily you have to write. So this is the basic pattern of question. So 3, 4, 2, 3, 4 and 6, 7, 8. So mostly they are been given from Indian society, 2, 3, 4, and 6, 7, 8 mostly they are giving from tribal India. So that means what you need to understand is, so you have to write 2 or 3 questions from each section, and accordingly one question you have to write extra from any of the sections. So consider that in section A you are writing 1 and 2, okay, and you have to write 3 questions from section B. So 5, 6 and 7. So that means here you have choice in the sense you can prepare extensively with respect to the tribal part, and you attempt more questions on tribal part. So there is a possibility that you can get good score. That is one area. And second thing is like Indian society. So if you attempt Indian society, if you are thorough with the Indian society, you can attempt more question. So it can be either of the way. So for example, Indian society part is very easy. You have fixed structure. Even tribal case also you have fixed structure. But in recent past, what has happening, the current trend is like in tribal part they are asking very minute details with respect to certain tribes. Even in Indian society also they are asking only minute details. So usually in particularly classes, so we will try to discuss about one particular example. So one particular example we will discuss hardly of 5 minutes, but they are asking for 10 minutes, 10 marker. You need to write 150 words. So in that case also, what should be the approach need to be followed will be dealt in the class. So that means like, so this course is like a comprehensive understanding of the subject, and with respect to examiner, what should be the approach, what are the points you need to write. So that will definitely helpful for you. So in which to get maximum score in the anthropology. So that means like what I want to say is like, if you are thorough with the Indian society, you need to go more questions from Indian society. You have to write more questions from Indian society. If you are thorough with the tribal part, you need to write more questions from tribal India. So that is like in the preparation itself, whichever the area of interest, you need to focus on those areas effectively. So even one particular word is also very important, and one particular example. In recent past, the way of questioning has been changed, as I said. So one of the ways is like they will give the statement of any of the thinker. So they don't give the thinker name. So just the statement. So based on the keywords they have given, you need to frame the answer. So that is the change we can see with respect to every discipline, in fact. So in that context, so slowly the examiner is shifting towards the static to dynamic. Even in that case also, by understanding that keywords, if you know the meaning of that keyword, automatically you can write the answer. So here only two particular topics. So one is Indian society, one is tribal India. So that fixed syllabus, elaborate syllabus is also one of the good thing which has happened in anthropology, and eventually students are getting benefit out of it. So that is the point. And whatever the material which I am giving, so definitely it will help you a lot. So that is what I can say. Next, coming to this discussion, so 6.3, developmental projects and their impact on tribal displacement and problems of rehabilitation. So that means like government is constructing different types of projects. So it can be of dams, it can be of roads, or it can be of any particular power plants. So there are many developmental activities. So for the developmental activities, they need to acquire the land. So where they are acquiring the large part of the land is from the tribals. So where traditionally they are living from centuries, but now they are losing their land for the developmental activities. So then in that case, what are the problems faced by them will be dealt as part of 6.3. Next one is problems and exploitation, deprivation of scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, other backward classes. Already we have discussed what are the problems of scheduled tribes. So here exclusively they mentioned about other weaker sections like the scheduled caste and OBCs. So that is one of the point. Next, here also social changes and contemporary tribal societies. So social changes in the sense how the tribal life is undergoing certain changes. Example, same MGNREGA. So if at all implemented in tribal areas, so then automatically what will happen? People are leaving their traditional occupation and joining in MGNREGA for their livelihood, for income. Automatically, so traditional occupations will decline. So automatically we can say the social change occurred in the society. Social changes means it can be of economic changes, people to people relation changes, or any other particular changes occurred. We can call it as a social changes, because in culture every particular institution is interlinked with other institution. So for example, if there is a economic changes occur, automatically it will have an impact on the family. So if people are losing their employment, so then they cannot have a larger family. So that is the impact of economic relations on family. Similarly, if you don't have the adequate financial resources, so then automatically the ceremonial functions which was performed by the people with respect to marriage ceremony, birth ceremony will decline. So that means every institution has been interlinked. Automatically the changes which occurred in one institution or one particular area will impact other area. So that means like there is a economic relations are declining, automatically it will have impact on the family relations, and it will have impact on the religious relations and other particular features which are being followed by the people. So that we call it as a social change. So in the contemporary tribal societies, what are the factors which led to the social changes will be discussed. Next, concept of ethnicity. So ethnicity is a concept which is created to understand the traditional way of life of the people. So how their life is been in the specific region with unique culture. So that is considered to be called as ethnicity. So this is also been dealt. Next one is about the impact of religions on tribal societies. So Hindu social system. Yes. Okay. So here impact of Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity, Islam and other religions on tribal society. So here what you need to understand is how these particular religions are being impacted. So are impacting the tribal society, because tribals have unique particular religion. So you can consider at this point of context as nature worship. So slowly it is undergoing certain changes. For example, you consider Nagaland. So because of British rule, majority of the section of people in Nagaland has been converted to Christianities. So now slowly, earlier there are traditional gods for the Naga people. So those gods are replaced with Christianity. So Christian gods came in place of traditional gods. So that is how they are been changing, or they are been impacting the tribal way of life. How they are being impacted by because of other religions and their lifestyle will be discussed. Next, tribe and nation state. So this is very interesting concept, because you know, tribals are living in a specific region for centuries, which was being explained with a concept called as ethnicity. Okay, ethnicity is one of the concept. So in that context, we can understand the tribal way of life and tribal particular features and all, etc. So you can see in some countries they form a government, or they form a nation based on a language. So based on the geographical extent. So a nation can be formed, a nation can be formed based on political reasons. So India has been formed as a nation, so because of British rule. So if there is no British rule, there may not be any nation called as India. So that means impact of British rule has unified all the section of people in India. Eventually they formed a nation, irrespective of different religions, different languages, different cultures, etc. They formed a nation. So which is unifying all the section of the people. One is earlier British rule. Now which factor is influencing all the people to be united means constitution. So here every particular country is considered to be called as a nation state in the current context. They have been formed because of various reasons. So in that context, how tribes are being affected. So for example, I will give you one example with respect to the nation state, how the tribal people are being impacted. So here what you need to understand is India has inherited its political power from the British. Okay, so British has passed various laws, particularly forest laws, to control the forests, and they want to get access to the wood and control the market in the forest related products. So that is the agenda of the British. They passed certain laws. Even after independent India also, the government did not change that law. Then who are the people affected because of the British laws? And after independence, the tribals. The tribals did not get any benefits from the British laws. That was not addressed by the leaders after independence. Only in 2006, government has passed a Forest Rights Act. So that means tribals are given specific rights on the forest related products only in 2006. Till that time, the government is following the earlier laws passed by the British. So that means the nation states are being formed because of various reasons, but the tribal problems are not addressed. Earlier, you can take another example, Chenchus are one of the hunting gathering tribes from the Nallamalla forest, particularly in AP Telangana. They are considered to be hunting gathering tribes located in Nallamalla forest. So earlier during British rule, ancient time period, they have every freedom to move from one place to another place in search of food. So no one is restricting them. So that is the way of life. Then the Britishers came, they passed forest laws, and they have been restricted to some specific areas. They should not go beyond that. So that is the position of Chenchus during the British rule. But after that independence, government has nationalized all the forest resources. Then government is creating administrative structure, forest department and all. So now Chenchus, even their freedom of movement in the forests are also been restricted. So that is where the tribals are facing certain problem. So this is the case with Indian tribes means no. In every particular part of the world, the traditional indigenous tribal people are facing problem because of this formation of nation state. So we will take some examples from different countries, how tribals are facing certain problems because of nation state, and what should be the approach need to be followed to address the problems of tribals in the nation state concept. Okay. So, that is one of the area we will try to discuss. Next one is last chapter, history of administration of tribal areas. So, that means government has in original constitution government has mentioned about schedule 5 and schedule 6. It will give you the elaborate administrative structure particularly in scheduled areas and tribal areas. So, schedule 5 is mostly related to the mainland of India tribals, and schedule 6 is related to the tribal people. So, they are considered to be called as tribal areas. So, schedule 5 is exclusively for the scheduled area, the tribals located in scheduled areas, mainland area. And in the northeastern region, so tribal areas they have defined in schedule 6, and that will give you the elaborate description of administration of tribal areas. So, understood. So, how the administration in the current context, so how government is able to control the tribal people, because administration means you need to have a elaborate political structure, administration structure. So, that will definitely provide you the corresponding laws, okay, or executing certain laws, framing certain laws. If at all any conflicts arises, the particular judicial system will address that particular problems. So, this we call it as an administrative structure. So, this administrative structure is present in tribal areas since ancient period, because they are existing from since ancient period, some particular tribes, not all the tribes. So, then if at all new particular type of administration created like Panchayat Raj system in tribal areas, how the conflict arises, like that of caste council to that of Panchayat Raj system, conflict arises in Indian society, Indian villages. Similarly, in tribal areas also traditional tribal councils are there, Panchayat Raj system is there, how the conflict arises. So, that is the reason government has passed an act which is considered to be called as PISA. So, Panchayat extension to scheduled areas. So, this is considered to be one of the law in which scheduled areas are being undergone certain changes, and that law will try to accommodate the interests of the tribals. So, that means government have understood the tribal way of life, tribal way of administration. So, that is why it has passed the Panchayat extension to scheduled areas. And here in tribal areas they are creating autonomous district councils, they can frame their own laws. So, they can frame their own particular way of approach with respect to implementation of laws. So, that is how they are providing certain leverages. But in some areas the government is not implementing this schedule 6, particularly in Manipur, okay, and Nagaland. So, in those areas what are the problems, what is why people are being agitating. So, and in Ladakh if you consider, so they are asking for the schedule 6 status. So, why they are asking? So, what is the reason behind it? Do tribes are been residing in Ladakh region or not? So, why they are been demanding the schedule 6? They are agitating against the government. So, we will discuss in the classes. And next one is about role of anthropology in tribal and rural development. So, tribal development, rural development. You can see, so tribal way of life, if you compare with other particular society, so they are being lower standards. Example, if you take with respect to poverty levels in tribals is very high, literacy rate is low, at the same time unemployment rate is very high. So, there are certain social parameters if you consider, so they are facing problems. So, government objective is to address that problems. So, in that context, so anthropology is as a subject which will try to give basic insights to the government, how to frame certain program, how to implement certain program. After that, so restudy approach is one of the approach in anthropology. So, we will try to understand after the implementation of the program after many years, we will try to understand what are the social changes occur. So, these are some of the tools in anthropology will help you to analyze the implementation of program, feedback can be given to the government, rectification can be done on a real time basis because of vast data is being produced with the help of technology. So, that is where anthropology is helpful in the tribal development. Same as the case with the rural development, village development, rural development in the sense. Next one, contribution of anthropology to the understanding of regionalism, communalism and ethnic political movements. So, regionalism is considered to be called as one of the particular factor or feature in which extreme favoritism towards a specific region. So some of the people are demanding statehood. So example, Telangana, before 2014 they demand the state, formation of Telangana. So that is considered to be called as a regionalism. So if every person is asking for the separate statehood, so then central government, if at all it is going on dividing the states, then administration will be difficult if it is of having a too much smaller states. So that's why the unity and integrity of India will be affected. So that's why central government should be very cautious enough when it comes to the regionalism, and how the regionalism is affecting the unity of the country should be analyzed in an effective manner. So in that context, anthropologists can give the basic insights for the government in policy making. Same as the case with communalism. So communalism means because extreme favoritism towards any type of religion and criticizing other particular religions may lead to the communal tensions. So in that case, what should be the approach need to be followed by the government will be discussed, and anthropological perspective by various thinkers in addressing these particular issues in the society is very much required for the government, because any type of regional tensions or communal tensions arises may go on a wildfire and have a severe implications in a multicultural society like India. So that's why it is very important for the government should be very cautious and frame the policy in such a way that unity and integrity of India should not be disturbed at any point of time. So that is the point you need to remember. Next, ethnic and political movements. So here ethnic and political movements, if you consider, so ethnic movements are there, political movements are there. So ethnic movements are particularly traditional movements which were been arising particularly in tribal areas, ethnic movements, or you can consider any movements based on language, ethnic movements. Or some of the people are saying that we are not getting political representation in the parliament, or not getting political representation in state legislative assembly, agitating for the political representation, political movements. So how to address them, those type of issues will, with respect to anthropological dimension, is mentioned in this particular syllabus. So all these particular dimensions which are being discussed in this class definitely will give you broader idea regarding the syllabus given by UPSC in Anthropology Paper 2. Okay, so these are the basic points which I want to highlight. In the next class, we will try to discuss about start the anthropology. So for example, so paper 1, so we are going to start chapter 1. In that chapter 1, so we will start with the meaning, scope and development of anthropology, 1.1 chapter in the next class. So you can see here, so we will start with what is anthropology. So we will try to understand what is anthropology, so where it has been derived this word called as anthropology, and what is the view of various thinkers, and accordingly we go on. Okay, so in the next class we will discuss about meaning, scope and development of anthropology as a discipline will be taught in the class. Thank you.